Hello, it's Rebecca and I've just got back from a weekend away at Chipping Norton Literary Festival. I can't really tell you where Chipping Norton is because I'm not too sure. Somewhere in the middle of England, near Oxford. My friend drove, I don't know. A couple of my friends have been going to this festival for many years and they've been trying to get me to go. And either because of work or lack of money and time, I've not been able to go. But this year I went and I'm so glad I did. It was brilliant. It's a weekend just full of literary, bookish type loveliness. And the town is very small and very cute. And the people were so friendly and helpful, and I really had a good time. And I can't even properly remember everything I did and everything I saw. So I'm going to get my little brochure to tell you about it. We arrived on Friday afternoon, about 5-ish o'clock. It takes about 4 and a bit hours from where we live to get there. My friend Jane drove. Thank you very much, Jane. So on the first evening, on the Friday evening, we saw a guy called Oliver James, and his talk was called Not in Your Genes, which was an interesting look at how much genetics actually plays a role in our behaviour and our outlook and our thoughts and our intelligence and our personality, everything to do with how we are now, how much of that is based on genetics and how much of it is based on choices, which was really interesting. I didn't buy the book because it's not the kind of book that I would sit down and read. Quite heavy, but to listen to him it was very interesting. And that evening we were just going to go out for dinner after seeing this guy, but we actually found that David Nicholls was doing a talk, which we didn't realise when we'd booked our tickets. Now David Nicholls is the author of Us and, oh, what's that other book called? One Day. So we went to see him. Very interesting. One thing I really liked about this weekend was just how down to earth the authors were. For some reason, we see kind of celebrity or famous people as these entities that are beyond our reach. And it was so nice just to listen to people talking normally about their normal writing lives. And it made me realise that, yes, with a little bit of hard work and perseverance, I can be in that same position. So a really interesting talk with him. Really enjoyed that. Our full day there was Saturday, and that was quite a busy, hectic day. Now my friends Jane and Tony, they went to a few more events than I did, just because I wasn't particularly interested in some of them. But there was a lovely cafe / bookshop in the town called Jaffe and Neil. And it was such a lovely little shop. It's an independent bookshop. And you could just browse the books, have a cup of tea, have a slice of cake, sit by the window, people watch. So while Jane and Tony were doing some bits and pieces that I wasn't particularly interested in, I took my laptop and sat in the cafe, drank tea and wrote. And it was so lovely, and just being surrounded by all these wonderful literary minds, and I was just soaking up the whole atmosphere, and I got loads of work done. And it was just absolutely brilliant. So I was super pleased that I had some time where I could just sit in the cafe, because it just made me realise that's where I want to be. That's what I want to do as a writer. And it gave me some sort of focus. So that was super brilliant. But we also saw on the Saturday, let's have a look, a panel of not chick lit authors, but kind of romance relationship authors. So they were Jessica Gilmore, Penrose Holson and Aisha Malik, and they all wrote very different things. Jessica writes for Mills and Boon. Now, if you've seen my Mills and Boon video, you'll see that I'm not particularly interested in reading Mills and Boon, but she did make it sound like a fascinating job. Not one that I would want to do. I couldn't write. She has to write 3 books a year, so that's pretty much, you know, 1 every 4 months, which is quite a lot of writing. And she has a full-time job and does that as well. I have a part-time job and I barely even write a sentence a day. So that was brilliant. Penrose Holson, fascinating story with her. She and her husband, they bought a marriage bureau way back in the 80s. But this marriage bureau had been going since the war, and it was almost, you know, the old school equivalent of online dating. So you'd give them your information and they'd try to match you with somebody who could possibly be a potential spouse. So that was really interesting, and her book is about this marriage bureau during the war, which sounded very interesting, and I kind of regret not buying her book. So difficult. There's so many books for sale and you don't know how much money you're going to spend, and you don't know how many people you're going to see that you'll want to buy their books. Jane, I think, bought a book from everyone at the festival. She should have bought an extra suitcase to take them home. But yeah, I didn't buy as many as I possibly should have. I don't know. And Aisha Malik wrote a book from the point of view of a Muslim woman and what it's like to live in London as a Muslim woman, dealing with your faith, but also dealing with wanting to date and do all the things that other young people are doing. So that was quite an interesting mix of people. Really enjoyed that. Then I went to see... I went to see Meet the Agent with Carol Blake. And Carol Blake is a literary agent, and she has some very big names on her books. And she was giving us advice on what to do when submitting our manuscripts for agents. And she had some very interesting stories about how people try to submit manuscripts to her. One that stands out is she was on the toilet and somebody slid a synopsis under the toilet of a public loo and expected her to read it and get back to them about it. Yeah, don't even fully understand why anyone would think that's a good idea. But she was very interesting and she gave some really good points, and I did buy her book in my Chipping Norton bag here. And it's called From Pitch to Publication by Carol Blake. And although I kind of know what to do when submitting manuscripts, and I have done them before, this is actually coming straight from an agent who knows what they're talking about. And although she seemed quite harsh, I think she was very fair. She's a businesswoman. She has to, you know, make money from your book. And if your book isn't very good, she's not going to make any money from it. So I thought I'd pick that up and kind of go through it with a highlighter pen and see what I could be doing better when submitting my manuscripts. A woman who didn't speak at the festival, but who was interviewing a lot of other authors, and a friend of Jane and Tony's was there, and she seemed like a very interesting lady, so I did buy her books. And she's done two, and the woman's name is Jane Wenham Jones, and the first one is just called Wanna Be a Writer, and the second one is Wanna Be a Writer We've Heard Of. So again, two more books that have tips and tricks and ideas and information about what we as lowly authors with no agent, no publisher, what we can do to forward ourselves in this world of writing. It's a tough world, it's difficult, so we have to work hard at it. So thought I'd pick up those to see if I could get any extra help. And then what did I go and see? I can't remember. Oh, I went to a self-publishing talk. Wasn't that interesting really. It was coming from a printing company called Clay's, which surprisingly is only about 20 minutes down the road from where I live, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, I didn't find it particularly helpful. It didn't really tell me anything that I didn't already know. Thankfully, that was a free talk, so I didn't have to pay for that one. And then after that was the famous Chip Lit quiz that is hosted by Mark Billingham, who's a pretty famous crime writer. That was so much fun, so much fun. We didn't come last. We came somewhere in the middle. We got 61 out of 100. Is it 100? Yeah, 61 out of 100. So that's not too bad. Not too bad. So really enjoyed that. It was just so much fun, being silly, random, odd questions. Considering you're in a room full of authors and agents and people who live in the literary world, 61 out of 100. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. So that was our Saturday. And then Sunday morning, Tony and Jane went off to see someone else. I can't remember who. I don't know. Anyway, they went off to Charlotte Bronte, I think, which I wasn't that interested in. So again, I went and sat in the cafe, did some more writing. So lovely, sitting there for an hour, just drinking tea. And they don't rush you or force you out, and you can sit and you can read and chat, and everyone was just so friendly and lovely. And then Sunday lunchtime, we saw Brian Blessed. Oh my goodness, that man is loud. He had a microphone on, and at one point he did something, I think he was singing, and I did almost get blown back in my chair. Very funny man. Lived such an interesting life, so well spoken, really good. He only had an hour to talk, and I think he could have talked and talked for absolutely ages. And the one thing that I did take away from that talk with Brian Blessed, something that you know, but sometimes you need somebody to tell you, and it was, don't forsake your dreams. Don't let the bastards grind you down. If you've got an idea, an aim, a dream, go for it. And so often I sit here and think, oh, I'm not good enough, or I don't think I can do it. Maybe I can't do it, but I'm not going to know if I don't try. So that was something that certainly hit home for me. And I did get a copy of his book, Absolute Pandemonium. And he is that loud, big, frightening man. But ever so nice when I met him. I wasn't going to have my picture taken with him, but he insisted. So you can't really say no to Brian Blessed. So I did have my picture taken with him. And he was very nice, very friendly. Considering he'd been sitting there for I don't know how long signing books, and he was still cheery and chatty and everything. So yeah, really liked seeing him. And it is definitely a festival I will be going back to. It opened my eyes and opened my mind, and I feel so inspired now. And I'm so annoyed because I'm at work all week and I can't get much done because of being at work, which if I need, if I want to live and eat and all that kind of stuff, I do have to go to work. But I'm certainly going to be using my days off more productively and get on with a lot more writing and a lot more bits and pieces that will push me forward, because I'm not going to let the bastards grind me down. They can say I can't do it, and they can tell me that I'm wasting my time, but I'm not going to listen to you. Sorry. So I had a really good weekend. So glad I went. I will leave some links and information down in the description so that you can go and have a look and see what was going on this year at the festival, and maybe keeping it in mind for next year. So I'm going to unpack, and I will see you soon. Have a good day.